3, 2, 1. All right. Good morning, everyone. My name is Rawan,
And I'm Brynna.
and today we'll be presenting our emerging research on the effects of concurrent physical effort and attention, supervised by Dr. Weiwei Zhang and PhD candidate Li Yang. So I want everyone here to imagine a typical rainy day. You're holding an umbrella while talking on the phone, and hey, let's even add more distractors. You're even looking at the changing traffic lights. Your physical strength as well as your mental focus are being undoubtedly challenged when used together, which really tests your executive functioning. So what is physical effort? As a definition, it's the intensity of strength exerted during physical actions, and attention, on the other hand, is the cognitive process that enables us to selectively concentrate on one aspect of the environment versus another. But as great as we may think our attention can be, by simply paying attention to something, you don't have immunity from missing crucial details it may have. And adding physical effort to the mix is just the start in how we can better understand attention and everything that could impair it. Which brings us to the attentional blink paradigm. So the figure you see right now is called the attentional blink task. I want you to gauge your attention to T1 and T2, aka target 1 and target 2. These are the targets that you would need to focus on if you were to be given this test. But they wouldn't make it that easy on you though. In addition to the two targets being displayed at serial speed, embedded between T1 and T2 are distractors. Here are the numbers, while T1 and T2 are the alphabets. Now, what does this attentional blink paradigm saying? It's saying that if you manage to spot T1 and T2 shows up really soon after, you would not be able to detect it. It's as if your attention blinks because your mind is too busy processing T1, and that it would be due to T1 still being processed. However, if T2 appears a bit later, you're more likely to spot both T1 and T2 accurately because your mind now has a chance to reset and start encoding the second target. Now, how does physical effort play a role into this? A few hypotheses have been drawn that tell us how physical effort will change the results of T1 and T2 detection, which brings me to the first hypothesis. So the all or none gating hypothesis. According to this, your attention is like a gate in your mind. The gate operates on an all or none gating mechanism, meaning it's either completely open or completely closed. So when you identify target 1, this gate snaps shut and doesn't allow any new information from getting through. But when you add high physical effort, the way this gate functions changing to opening slightly and a little longer after T1 detection. In other words, in other words, the inhibition strength is reduced. This means in scenarios where you're physically active, you might actually catch T2 appearing shortly after T1, better than if you were just sitting still. This adaptation could be because your mind's overall alertness is up, letting more information through, despite just having processed T1. We call this the weakened attentional blink effect. To put this in a relatable analogy, think of it like a U-shaped performance curve in a race. At the start of the race, you're fresh and you can sprint, noticing everything around you. Midway, as fatigue sets in, your alertness drops, and you might miss some things, like the middle part of our U-curve here, where participants would struggle the most. But towards the end, as you push through the fatigue and the demands become more manageable, your alertness spikes again, and your performance improves. Similarly, in our study, the race is the duration between T1 and T2. The longer it goes, initially, the performance dips, but then it picks up again as participants adapt or aren't as overwhelmed. Another hypothesis I'd like you to see is the inhibition mechanism. This states that high physical effort makes inhibition weaker for only the distractors and not T2 like we've seen previously. So notice here how inhibition in the diagram doesn't extend to T2, making inhibition weaker. So making inhibition weaker just means that you are more likely to see the distractors. And if you were to see the distractors, that means your attention will be on encoding them rather than on the second target. Therefore, under high physical effort, T2 performance is worse. So the AB phenomenon or the attentional blink phenomenon would be stronger. To give you a visual on this, imagine you're driving, you're exerting physical effort on the steering wheel as you would. On an unmarked pedestrian crossing, you see people trying to cross. This would count as our distractors. While this is happening here, there is a traffic light that is signaled green. According to the inhibition mechanism, you will miss what the traffic light is showing due to attention being allocated to the distractors, therefore missing the second target, or in this example, our traffic light. Just as a visual to show you how T2 would be missed due to distractors between both the targets. I will now pass the mic to my partner that would walk you through the method section of our emerging research.
All right, so now we're going to go through the step-by-step basis of our process of our research. So our study consists of two different tasks. The first task being a hand grip task that measures a participant's maximum strength. We do this in order to rule out the confounding variable that is individual physical ability between participants. Then after that task, we proceed to our main task, where at the beginning of each trial, participants encounter a get ready prompt followed by a bar indicating either 5 or 45% of their maximum grip strength. Their goal is to maintain their grip slightly above the target level without going over it. A red bar will display real-time feedback for their grip strength. Once they've reached the target, sustain that force while observing a sequence of symbols containing 2 target letters, the 14 distracting digits, and an ampersand marking the conclusion. Staying focused throughout this is crucial because targets may appear at any moment. After the sequence finishes, participants will be instructed to release their grip and use the keyboard to input the 2 letters in the order that they appear. They would then receive feedback on their grip precision and the target identification. Researchers would need to remind participants to maintain a steady grip and carefully memorize the letters throughout the session to ensure desirable results. Moving on, we're going to dive directly into the preliminary results of our study. So we conducted a 2-way repeated ANOVA that was employed to analyze the data, focusing on the impact of physical effort and the different lags between stimuli on task accuracy. So as you can see, the blue line here represents the low physical effort condition, and the red line represents the high physical effort condition, and you can see the differences between these two conditions. The analysis with a sample size of 16 revealed a significant main effect of lag on accuracy rates. The analysis showed an F-value of 5.89 and a highly significant P-value of less than 0.001. This finding underscores the importance of timing between stimuli, known as lag, indicating that it has a considerable influence on task performance. Moreover, when examined, the mean accuracy rates of identifying the second target given the first, denoted as T2 given T1, we observed a U-shaped relationship across the lags. Notably, the lowest accuracy rate occurs at lag 3. This pattern suggests a unique cognitive processing challenge at this specific lag, where the participants struggle the most to identify T2 after being presented with T1. These results highlight the critical interplay between stimulus timing and cognitive processing in tasks requiring sustained attention and accuracy. So moving on to how we can apply this study and these findings to the real world. Our exploration of the interplay between physical effort, cognitive processing, and the phenomenon of the attentional blink provides a nuanced understanding of how these elements affect our perception and processing of rapid stimuli. From the daily challenges of multitasking in dynamic environments to structured experimental settings, we see that physical effort plays a critical role in shaping our cognitive functions. The attentional blink paradigm, a cornerstone of our discussion, illustrates how our ability to process and detect rapid sequential stimuli can falter under specific conditions. However, this introduction of physical effort adds complexity by modulating the duration and intensity of this blink. The key theory each provides a unique lens through which we can view the impacts of arousal and physical effort on time perception and cognitive processing speeds. This can be applied in the real world to patients and people who have ADHD. People with ADHD, also known as attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, often struggle with maintaining focus when performing tasks and day-to-day activities. Previous research showed that the AB, also known as the attentional blink phenomenon, is elongated within the ADHD population. Understanding that high physical exertion can potentially shorten the attentional blink can be utilized when designing fidget toys and other devices to help aid ADHD. For example, Perhaps designing a stress ball that requires more physical effort to be applied in order to squeeze it could result in a shorter attentional blink and in turn lead to an increase in cognitive abilities.
Okay, finally, at the conclusion of our presentation, we would really like to take a moment and extend our heartfelt gratitude to Dr. Weiwei Zhang for supervision on the project and PhD candidate Li Yang for her contributions as well. We would also like to acknowledge the ConPem Lab, Cognitive Neuroscience and Perception Attention Memory Lab, for providing us with the opportunity to undertake this research and to present at this symposium today. Thank you.
Awesome.
We did it.
We did it.